Let's talk about digital ID. This is a conversation that's got many of you talking at home. We have now this digital information and smart data bill, and the Labour Party is selling this as a good thing, that people can start to have digital IDs to make access to services more easier. Kay says on Twitter, we must resist digital ID. It's the first step for government control. They work for us, and I do not comply to be controlled via a digital ID. It's the first stop, she says, to things like central bank digital currencies and social credit system. Where are you on it, Ella?
Yeah, I'm very against this. To be honest, my rule of thumb is anything that Tony Blair was a big fan of, I am not a big fan of. And he has been behind the push for digital ID for a very long, or some form of sort of moving towards a papers, please society for a long time. And let's be frank, digital ID would turn us into a digital papers, please society. And it's just not in our nature in this country to be like that. And that's the first thing. But the second thing is, Labour Party says this isn't going to be mandatory. They say you'd still be able to have paper access, blah, blah, blah. Will that be an assurance in law? We have to wait to see, because just saying that it will be fine doesn't cut it. The state is not benign. It's not to be trusted as sort of like a nice auntie looking over you. But if you look back to, for example, when truancy was a big issue in the news, and we were talking about kids skipping school. Michael Gove and previous government made a suggestion somewhere. What about if you docked parents' benefits whose kids were playing truant? Yeah. Which I think is a very, very bad idea.
And a lot of people would agree with that.
Fine. But if you had a digital ID, there would be no debate. The government could do it like that because they would have access to everything. And so it's a very dangerous suggestion for people who particularly on the lower end of the economic scale, who have something to lose from state intervention. So I'm completely against
this. So that is a no from Ella Whelan. Jake, your thoughts?
I do not trust the government to have our data. We've already had a hack of your NHS records where health tests and the most personal information about you were leaked online by hackers.
But you literally wear the government.
But I'm a freedom fighter. This is state control. That's why I opposed some of in fact, many of the later COVID measures, I opposed those. This is state control. It is a creepy plan from Tony Blair to track you from cradle to grave. It is part of a global agenda, effectively to bring everyone under the same legal system on the planet. I completely oppose it. Be very, very afraid of this. Do not support it. Do not sign up for the digital ID. It is a bad idea. You will come to regret it. And this idea that they can put in law that it will be voluntary, of course they will do. Laws can and will be changed. If this comes in, everyone will be forced to have it.
Viewer Glenn says, Michelle, we all must resist digital ID. He says it's a precursor to a cashless society. We will end up with medical records digitised and then a social credit system, which is all about total control. He says anyone in favour of it should ask themselves, do you want to become like China? He says the flip side of this is that John says, what's everybody's issue? We have to show ID when we go to vote now. No one seemed to be crying about that. Tracy said, I used to live... Yeah, Ella did. Tracy said, I used to live in Malta for 12 years and I had ID cards there. There was no issue. It's a great idea. She says it would also help to find them thousands of missing migrants that have seemed to have disappeared. So she gets the cheers, she says, for that as well. Many of you still getting in touch about the Bibi Stockholm suggesting that homeless people would literally jump at the chance to be housed on there, suggesting that as a potential future use. And I've got to say, there's not a huge amount of sympathy for the Just Stop Oil Brigade and their sentences there. Some of you saying that they should have had much more sentence. You're a harsh bunch. Look, that's all I've got time for. Ella, Jake, thank you for your company.